Another Monday. All right, we got some feedback from viewers, so we so appreciate that. I'm trying to be closer to the camera, and we're gonna start it out with a little bit of just something fun and easy, so that everyone can get into it. And we talk about a lot of different things, and we're recognizing that these might be things that Claire and I have shared for years and years and years. And so we're going to try and be a little more deliberate about explaining something if we think that maybe there are those of you who haven't heard of these things. So thank you to those people who gave us that feedback. We appreciate it.
We appreciate everyone who's watching and just sharing your comments. It like just fills our hearts so much to know that some of you are enjoying it and getting some stuff out of it. So thank you.
Yes. Okay, so today we're just going to draw a card from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, because animals are cool and tarot is fun. And tarot, I think has had this mysterious kind of occult, witchy like quality to it. I believe tarot originated in the 1300s in Italy as like kind of a game of sorts, and then it spread out throughout Europe. And then now there's a million spin-offs, right? There's all these different decks and whatnot. I don't think you have to have any special skills to draw a card from a deck. So if you're so inclined to start trying to access some wisdom from the higher realms, get yourself a deck. All right. So let's see what the animal is going to be. But what's the question we should ask? Is this an animal for our talk today? Is it for the collective? What do we want?
I love the idea of just for the collective, like what's going on as the fully connected living organism of humans on our planet.
Okay. Here we go. We've got, ooh, I love it. We got the firefly. Okay, without reading. So I like to do my interpretation before I read what was written. So to me, this is enlightenment, that spark of the divine flying through the air. So as our vibrations, right, are those higher enlightened vibrations travel through the air, it lights up all over. And the idea that fire as an element, right, is an alchemizer. So you think of what's happening. We talked about all the density coming up last week. We had like tornadoes and fires and all of that to be alchemized. So I don't know. And look at all the darkness around there. And then just
I was thinking, like being that little light in the darkness and everyone shining their little light, and like then it's magic.
Yeah. Like a concert, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's great. So I'm gonna read what's in the book.
Also, just before you read that, I just found out from a friend a couple weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago, she was traveling in Europe, and like certain areas of the world don't have fireflies. And that's just something, I mean, it's obvious now that you say it, but it was something I hadn't thought about. And then to come to the US or whatever, and then be like, oh my gosh, what is the magic that's happening, like sparkling lights in your backyard right now? We just take it for granted because it's like, oh yeah, they're just lightning bugs, whatever.
Yeah, that's so true. It's funny, I had this woman in the Bahamas and she wanted to come visit the United States and stay with me. She's like, but you don't have squirrels there, do you? And I'm like, yes, we absolutely have squirrels. She's like, I can't come. I've heard those are really scary.
They are sometimes.
But it's so funny, right? Because we think our reality is everybody's reality. And I mean, it is, because we're all sharing, but not really. Let's be honest. Okay, so fireflies and air, so I mean, that would seem obvious, but you could think it could be fire.
Yeah.
And it's air. So that's interesting. And it is inspired and fantastic, yet fleeting. Ooh. So the magic of this time, right after the solar eclipse, basically, I think it goes till May 1st, which is, what is that? That Imbolc? I don't know. I don't know all the names of the pagan
Beltane.
holidays, but or May Day, right? I think it's May 1st. So if you want to do a sort of more religious spin, that would be May Day. But that period of that higher vibratory quantum energy that's coming off of this sun during this astrological whatever formation is fleeting, because that's fleeting. So the firefly contains the light of 1,000 stars. It's pure, it's radiant and illuminating. This high frequency charge cannot be sustained for long. Therefore, the firefly card indicates a moment of inspiration or an awakening that quickly fades if we do not catch it. They're very interesting. There is firefly energy behind every poem, song, and invention. Our job is to be ready to harness the creative spirit when it graces our path. What can you do to support this precious and elusive light? Well, come on. Isn't that the whole point of what we're doing here?
What do you
Like,
mean?
well, to support this precious and elusive light. I mean, we were just talking this morning about, oh, do we talk about what we talk about before we talk about it? And it's like, well, all we want to do is, shine our lights in our own unique, quirky ways and encourage other people to start accessing and shining their own light. I mean, that's kind of the whole point, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
I'm like, okay,
cool.
that's kind of perfect. So when in balance, the firefly writes, creates, and brainstorms. Okay, well, that sounds about right too. Claire is a brilliant writer. I'm a writer, but not,
Yes.
yeah. Definitely a creator. I mean, we're all creators, like we talked about. But I like to actually get in there and brainstorming, which we've been doing a lot of that lately.
Love
And
a good brainstorming sesh.
why is a brainstorm like a rainstorm too? Is it just because all these ideas are dropping in?
Gosh, I mean, I was just talking about this with a friend. I can tell, at least in my life, when I have this lightning bug energy, it feels like a storm for me. I'm in this like cacophony of all of this swirling energy, and sometimes it feels a little directionless, and I'm like, I want to create this and I want to create this and I want to be doing this, and it's like in that storm. And that's why brainstorm is so beautiful. I love just like a messy, write all over a sheet of paper. I actually bought a huge roll of paper so I can like roll it out and just write and make pictures and use colors, and out of that brainstorming action, I guess, one or two nuggets will usually emerge, and then it's like, okay, now I know where I can direct my creative energy. But it just sounds like right now is this beautiful, like you were saying, coming off of a very highly auspicious time in astrology, and leaning into whatever's being supported right now for you creatively. And then where like you get an idea and then it's like, oh, it's gone a week later, and you're like, I'm not gonna do that.
Totally. Well, and it's that idea that there are, I view it as, for myself, it's not quite as, in and that way. It's these little sparks. It's like, ooh, that's a good idea. Ooh, there's a good idea. But it is that fleetingness, right? Because if I don't energize that idea with action or intention, like the firefly, it flicks on and flicks off. And then, I mean, that firefly is moving from here to there to there. Our ideas can keep us in a bit of a boop, 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 boop. I mean, I have a zillion ideas, never at a loss for ideas, but it's taking what of those ideas do I want to give my energy and intention to? Because we can't do all of it.
Right.
It'd be pretty awesome if we could. But that sort of reminds me of that firefly energy too, because it lights up over here and then it goes out and then it's over here. It's like those are my ideas in my brain, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, so when out of balance, oh, feels burnt out or dull.
Mm,
So when you've lost that spark, and I mean, we can all relate to times in our lives when it just feels like the spark's gone out and you're like, what happened? Where'd it go? And it's not, related. It's not like, oh, well, it's winter, our energy naturally goes down. But there have been times in my life where I'm just moving and grooving and so like anything's possible. And then you'll just wake up and you're like, I feel like Eeyore, like, "Wah, wah, wah." And it's like, what happened?
yeah. And
You
it can
know?
be any number of things, right? It can be what's happening internally for you. It can be what's happening in your environment, or um, something that's happening on a grander scale, like what we just had with the eclipse. It's like, I think that's part of that whole dance of coming to know ourselves, coming home to ourselves, is like, where is this coming from? And it reminds me, I had an energy mentor a couple of years ago who taught me, and this may seem obvious, but it changed my life. So I believe this is one of the laws of thermodynamics or something, science.
Okay, good. Because like I think we used thermodynamics before, and I'm like, do either one of us really understand thermodynamics?
Enough, right? I mean,
Right.
come
Yeah,
on, I'm no
exactly.
scientist over here, but I am learning about energy, and the law
Yes.
is that energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
Right.
There is a finite amount of energy that we are working with in our individual field. And I think I'm kind of being drawn to like dive into this idea of energy today, because I've had some friends just be like, hey, you talk a lot about energy, like what the hell is it? And I think we're all in a similar place. Like, I don't know what energy is, but we experience it in specific ways, maybe. And so that gives us an idea. Can you see energy? Some people can, some can't. So this idea that we all have this much energy to work with, or this much, whatever it is, when these ideas come in, when opportunities come up, people invite you into something, and you want to say yes to everything. I don't know if that's something that y'all struggle with, but I do. Then it's like, okay, here's my set amount of energy. How am I going to parcel this energy out today so that it reflects what's important to me and what I'm valuing most?
Okay. So I have a couple thoughts, and I don't even know if this is. I'm just working through this out loud with you.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the idea that we have a finite set of energy, I'm like, I don't know, because
Hmm.
some days I actually have access to a lot more energy than I did the day before. Then, if I think about being a woman and the fact that I can grow an entirely new baby while doing the stuff I was doing before, for the most part, is making me think that I just haven't accessed all the energy available to me yet. And so believing that I have a finite, yeah, okay, we live in this world of time, but the word time backwards is emit. So I believe that the vibration that you emit changes your experience of time and kind of what can occur in those constraints. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there
Hmm.
because when you said that, I'm like totally the energy never dies. I mean, I remember writing this on my whiteboard, like trying to go through this. Energy is always seeking expression. Therefore, is expression energy. I mean, I was like, going, this was on one of those, whatever. But I think being aware of what is my access to energy today, or even my bank account, right? Like that changes, that fluctuates all the time. As someone who pretty much, works for myself and Claire as well, you know what it's like. Some weeks you're just like, I'm in money. And you're just like, oh, you feel that like, because it's right there and I can see it. And so now I know it's there. But actually, all that abundance was always there. It just hadn't found its way to me yet. And I kind of think of that like energy.
Yeah. Yeah, energy can be something tangible like money or fire, these energy sources. And then there's also the energy that's so much more subtle. And that's why I think a lot of people look at healing modalities like sound healing, Reiki, and they may not see it's going to be then going to a medical doctor and getting an antibiotic for an infection in your body that 24 hours later you're like, okay, I feel better. That can happen with those modalities, but it's so much subtler and it requires tuning in a much more intentional way, I think.
Okay, yes. So Claire said Reiki, and I'm like, maybe some people don't even know what Reiki is. So maybe we should explain that, that we
Julie
hold.
does Reiki, so maybe if you want to share like what you've done with clients and
Well, it's an ancient, practice, I believe, from Japan. And, there's these Reiki masters that are following, symbols and ways in which I'm not a Reiki master. I've been Reiki attuned. I've got, Reiki level 1, but I'm not necessarily following someone else's. Mine is more the belief that we've got chakras here, right? I mean, to go back to God, Jesus laid hands on, and I'm not, I don't, our hands can heal. And when I am able to open my vessel, right? My guide said to me once, "You're our conduit and you can do it." And it's like literally allowing this energy to flow through me. I'm not doing anything. I don't have to be the best in the world. I don't have to have, 17 certifications. I have to have a pure heart and been able to remove enough of my own blockages to be open to receive this. And I have to have the intention of healing the other.
mm-hmm.
And so that is my concept of Reiki. It is healing. Sometimes you lay hands on a body, sometimes you don't. I'm feeling for stagnation. I can just intuitively go, if I put my hands, I'm like, oh God, there's a lot of stuff going on up there. It's like you can feel a little bit of the static, or, you'll get to someone's throat and it might feel like sticky. So it's just being really tuned in to these energy centers that, we have 7. I don't, we have more than that, but we're going to start with the 7 basic ones that people would understand. So you've got your crown chakra, which is pineal or pineal gland is kind of held in between here and there, right? And that gland is made up of crystals. And what do crystals do? Silica runs computers, holds information. So that's pretty cool. We've got one of those in our brain. Unfortunately, many of us aren't aware of this. And so we're not able to make sure that it's not calcified through things like fluoride. And pretty much fluoride's the biggie that's going to really shut that thing down. But
Shut down, and we understand that as might make it more challenging to access your understanding of divine source, your understanding of God, something that's beyond you, creator source. We tend to access that energy in a lot of meditations and a lot of different practices through bringing our awareness and visualization to the crown of our head. So that's that like direct line to the top. That's the idea.
Yes. Okay, so then we got our third eye. That's our intuition, right? I mean, it's just being able to see with our intuition. And I feel like everybody's third eye is accessible. It's just a matter of trusting how your body feels when you So it's like, oh, okay, someone was trying to sell me something the other day. And I was like, oh, she's a really nice person. And, maybe this is your own baggage that you're bringing to this person showing me this thing, this new device. And, but my body got tight, right? And it was like, and I don't think my body got tight because I was like, oh, it's probably you, Julie. It's like, no, something in me is saying, I don't know about this. That's your intuition. I remember once I was talking to my Reiki person, we know, or, the person we both went to years ago. And I was asking her, so do you think I can trust so and so? There's a person in my life. And she said, if you're asking the question, you already have the answer.
Hmm.
If you're asking if you can trust something or you're bouncing it off of someone else, like, I don't know, what do you think? It's like, you already know the answer.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be asking if someone's trustworthy if something inside me was not saying, hey, I don't think this is a trustworthy situation. Okay,
Mhm.
third eye. Then you've got throat chakra. And we don't need to get into all the colors. The heart chakra, which is here, which is weird because our heart's over here, but that's for another day. Um, Then we've got our solar plexus, which is our energy center, our personal power, how we step out into the world, take action. So I can have this crown chakra thing going all day, baby, getting information, all that. I can speak. Can I go? Can I take this information, use my words to go out into the world and have this energy, this information show up in tangible form? So there's that. Then we've got our sacral, which is our creative, portal, sexuality. It's just like it's our if you think of the like a witch, right? And she was stirring the pot. That was that sacral energy, right? Just stirring that cauldron and all of that. And then you got the root chakra, which is, at the base, but it also is our feet, our teeth, our bones. So that's the chakra system. Reiki is about balancing, opening, clearing blocks, and that will in turn create more vitality and well-being and radiate because the body knows how to heal itself.
Yes, thank you. That was a great walkthrough of the chakras. And yeah, some people have different systems. There's 9 chakras, there's 12 chakras.
Right.
The bottom line is there's centers in the body that hold energy um, in specific ways for specific experiences we have as humans, right? And like there's different acupressure points in the fingers. Our fingertips are so activated. Our hands are absolutely magical. And yeah, this concept of moving energy through the body is to keep the flow. And that's the practice of working with your chi, right? Is that life force that we want to keep flowing, keep it moving. When we get stuck, we get stagnant, that's when dis-ease can step in. And for me, I know I've talked about this, but the breath work has been super powerful in my understanding of the way energy flows in my body. And maybe you've noticed when you're working out or when you're doing yoga or doing anything physical, maybe you've noticed the way heat travels through your body. That's one example of noticing energy. With breath work, I can move, and Kundalini is about drawing that energy from the lower centers up to the higher centers because it can get stuck down here. And so it's just creating that constant flow, constant flow. Now that's for the individual body. Then if we're talking about how our energies are connected to each other, maybe you've met a person for the first time and I think it's kind of a popular saying now. It's like, oh, her energy was off, or oh, I just really loved his energy, right? That's speaking to an intuitive sense when you come into someone else's energy field, which scientifically has been proven, that it's about 6 feet in diameter around you. Okay. That's your field. And then when you come into someone else's field, your energies are mixing and co-creating, to go back to what we talked about last week. So these are just all the ways I think about energy. And then you've got energetic beings, which maybe we assign. I mean, I don't know if we want to go into that, but angels, higher realms, or you've got, the concept of ghosts or demons. Those are energetic beings that some can see, some can't, so it's just an interesting concept.
Okay, so as you were talking, I became clear for myself on something that I was like just throwing out there. Energy's endless. Our access, because it's not finite. It's, am I able to access it? If I walk on the earth, the ley lines, okay? So you guys think of these lines inside of the earth, and they're like going horizontally and vertically. Those are,
What birds follow for migration.
yeah, those are energy lines, right? And where they cross underneath, in the earth is called a PowerPoint, which is very interesting because we do PowerPoint presentations, and that's kind of cool. And the church is very smart. They know where these are. They put their church, their business, on a PowerPoint, and then they've got that spire that goes up to the top. That is creating a conduit of energy that whatever happens will be sent out with more power. So going back to yeah, we can access that energy, this subtle energy that we don't know about. And I'm like, why don't we know about this? We should know about this. If I need more chi, right? Or vitality in my body, and I recognize there's certain places I can go. I can tap into the earth. I can tap into the water. It's like recharging your battery. You're literally, okay, I got more energy.
Yeah.
It's right there. So sorry, because I was like, wait, yeah, no, we just don't know how to harness all the unseen energy yet.
Exactly. And it makes me think of that book by Lynn McTaggert called The Field. And if you're interested in learning more about the way energy works, she is a journalist, but she speaks with a lot of scientists. So she just does a really good job of talking about quantum physics in a way that normal people can understand. And she uses a lot of studies, cites a lot of studies where we're starting to understand energy so much better than we ever have. And she also draws this awareness that so much of the way we view the world is still based on Newtonian physics, which, might be outdated, and Darwin's theory, which again, just a theory that we take as fact. This is how the earth developed. This is how we work. And so I highly recommend that book. I'll put the link in the show notes, but basically there's evidence to show that all energy is connected, that we are one pulsing, moving organism, and that there is endless energy to be had if we know where to tap into it, which is mind-blowing.
It's amazing. And just to even start with a recognition, kind of to play off of some of our other episodes, you can tell, imagine you're a battery. Was my energy drained in that situation, or was my energy charged in that situation? And if I put myself in situations or find myself in situations where it's like, nope, energy drain, energy drain, energy drain, energy drain, energy drain, you're gonna come into some sort of situation, physically or emotionally, whether you lose your temper, you're not, thinking through things with the same, sort of level of balance that you would, or something goes on in your body, right? You sprain your ankle, whatever, something is amiss because you're out of balance. It's just been drain, 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 drain. So maybe just start at the end of the day, or in the beginning of the day, wake up in the morning, like, all right, how's my battery feel? And it's like,
Mm.
yeah, pretty good. I got a great night's sleep. Yeah, I didn't have any crazy dreams. Pretty good. And then the end of the day, where's my energy now?
Mhm.
And hopefully you're not just dragging yourself to bed at the end of the day, because that would indicate to me that I was not around people or immersing myself in projects, or passion projects, people that charge me up. And that lack of balance is not sustainable forever.
In the long term, right? And there's certainly seasons where it's like, okay, you're raising babies, like you're launching a business, those seasons where it's like, at the end of the day, I am going to be empty. I'm going to be drained. And I'm choosing that because this is a life I've chosen, or if you feel like it isn't a life you've chosen, that just may be where you're at. And also the, yes, I love that check-in at the beginning of the day and the end of the day.
And maybe the middle too, because we love threes, but maybe the middle. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like all day, anytime you think about it, all day long. And for me, it takes the moral judgment out of it, which is so helpful. It's like, okay, where is my battery right now? And it's not good or bad. It's just like, hey, the energy within my body is telling me that I need to slow it down, or that, hey, I've got all this excess energy. I'm in a place where I can fill in the blank, do that project I've been thinking about doing, or go on a run, and it's just the reading of yourself. And something else that came up was vibration. Like, you've seen, it's a lot of people saying raise your vibration, raise your vibration. Like, what does that even mean? And when I was first learning about energy and the nature of vibration, I was like, why would I want a higher vibration? To me, I want a low vibration. I want it to be calm. I want it to be peaceful. And in my mind, I was associating that with low vibration. And then come to find out, actually, things that vibrate higher are more in alignment with light and love versus low vibration. So I don't know if you could kind of speak to that.
Well, okay, low is slow. All right. And when things that's lacking a dynamic energy to it. So when you think of thermodynamics, right? Dynamic is energetic. It's
Movement.
it's moving, and it's changing, right? It's changing. And if you think about a cell spinning, when there is a slowdown, that is when it can't, like, think of it like flinging off toxins and like firing off the way that it needs to do. It's a very dynamic process. And when that starts slowing down, things can kind of glom onto it. And it's interesting. I've been divorced for about 6 years now, 6 years, I guess. And when I was married, I cannot tell you how many times I got a cold.
You got
I
me.
mean, a cold, a sinus infection, a cold. It was like, I don't know, 4 times a year. It would, or I'd be like, I just got over this. What is happening? And some other interesting stories, things that happened to my health in this situation. And my vibration, there was a lid on it. It was slower. It was lower. Even when I was not reacting to what was coming at me, which was a lot of aggression or surprise, like just a lot of chaos in my environment, which doesn't serve me well. For the beginning of my relationship, I'd be like, we talked about this. We weren't going to do this. And I'd get all, because he had very big energy. And I was like, I got to meet that energy with big energy. Big energy isn't the same as high energy. So low and slow, it's not, big energy isn't better. It was just like, Then I decided that's not working. I'm going to keep it in, not say a whole lot, keep the peace, just keep the peace. That vibration's no better. They're both low vibrations. And so someone who's, singing the life of the party, you're like, oh, that's high vibration. Not necessarily. What if they're just trash talking and telling funny stories at the expense of someone else? But they're funny. They got everybody laughing, and now you leave there, ha ha ha. Well, that wasn't high vibration either. So it's a subtle thing, right? Is what I'm doing or saying being done with integrity, with love, and with respect to myself and the other. So if I'm doing something that I'm not respecting myself, that's low vibration. And you can even say the vibration of giving $5 to a man on the street corner. What's that vibration? I don't know. Why are you giving the $5? It is your sister in the car with you, and you want to show her how generous you are. So you roll down your window and you're like, yeah, I do this all the time. I mean, or, oh, it's, what? Okay, that's, yeah, you did give somebody $5, but why? So it's, it's subtle. All of it's like kind of subtle, right? And it goes back to what we've talked about so many times. Why am I doing this? What's going on inside of me? Someone could donate $1 million to a school because I don't know, they hate their kids and they're never going to forgive them, and so they're going to give all their money away so that before they're dead, those bastards don't get any of it. Yeah, it's not high vibration, but everybody around them is going to be like, oh my God, what a great person.
Yeah.
And the school's probably going to like name a hall after them. And so from now until the end of time, we will remember the Smith family. And it's like, that was actually a shitty thing to do.
Yeah. And the intention, this is also mentioned in the field, that book, the intention changes the vibration of whatever is happening. But that's a beautiful power. I mean, think about that. With just our thoughts, our attention on something, we can change the nature of matter. That is what quantum physics says, which is like, what?
Wait, to go back to where my story started, getting sick all the time, I got divorced. I've literally not had a cold, a sniffle, a sore throat in 6 years. In 6 years. I didn't change. It's not like I went on some big health kick. And no, in fact, it was very difficult. I was going through a lot of difficult things during that time, lots of hard stuff. And in the past, those things would have depleted me, taken my system out. I would have gotten sick. If the stuff I've gone through, my daughter was very ill, went through a lot of difficult stuff. And then, there's more, there's way more. So I have accessed more energy because I'm not in an environment that is draining my battery. My battery is consistent, right? I'm holding this consistent vibration. Things come in, drains me, but I know how to access more energy. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's, certain practices I do that charge me up again. So
what are those, if you want to share?
Well, music is very important to me. Certain kinds, I don't start my day with, super amped up stuff because I kind of like it gentle. But at the end of the day, I like a little smooth jazz. So, music, if I need more energy, I know what to put on. If I'm struggling with feelings of like sadness or loss, or just, watching people around me get sick and suffer, I want those, you love mantras, but I love my Sanskrit, the playlist is called Chant to Heal. So I just,
it's a mantra.
A mantra, it's Sanskrit, so it's Loka Sumasa Sukino Babantu is an example of that. So you could go Loka Sumasa Sukino Babantu. You know, they sing it all great. I'm not a great singer, but I do love to sing. That, just because I don't know the words, right? I don't even have an attachment. I do now know what that means. And it means, may all beings be happy and free. And may I, in some way, contribute to the happiness and freedom of others. And you're like, no, I've got, because I have that like printed somewhere. And people have said, oh, what does that mean? And I tell them, and they're like, that can't mean all that. Because, you know, it's like, well, it does. But these mantras they're vibratory. They are, you know, calling out with these sounds. They're creating patterns around me. Like, imagine like now sacred geometry starts radiating around my field, right? I become more magnetic using these mantras. And words carry vibrations, and our language has changed so much over time. You know, spelling is actually, you cast a spell with your words. A spell is cast. Claire, you just had a cool light beam just buzz through.
Sun's coming out.
Yeah. A spell is being cast with our words, whether we know it or not. So, you know, we now do the grand rising, you know, when all of us say it now, but to then the other people in the world, it's good morning. Well, what do you do when somebody dies? You go into
Morning.
And so it's like, it's an oxymoron. I'm putting out a mixed vibration. If a word, and we have so many meanings, like double meanings for our words, right? And so a mantra is just something you can repeat and sing. And now I'm bringing my intention into this with my sound, this field, and it does create a healing environment. So when I'm needing a little healing, I got my chant to heal. And
that's the power. And maybe you've seen this as a therapeutic approach, but another way to raise your own vibration is calling in your I am statements, right?
totally.
I am, like, whatever you need for that day. Like today, I just needed to remind myself that I am enough. And so that'll be kind of my mantra for the day. Some people work with mantras for 40 days, for a year, you know, so the power of using words to raise your vibration. Yes. If you've never tried working with a mantra, just give it a try. Just try one and see what might change.
So some music, right? That's a way to raise our vibration. Gratitude, that's like, so you can't say enough about being grateful. Yep. And even if you're not grateful, figure it out. You can see maybe, and if you can't see, hopefully you can hear. You know, I mean, some weeks you have to start really small because you feel like you've just been put through the spin cycle of life. And you know, someone's like, oh, want me to make a gratitude list? It's kind of like, you, I'm gratitude. What are you talking about? You gotta find something. Because gratitude, the attitude of gratitude can change your experience of what is. Mm-hmm. Period. So it's not about what you have, it's how are you experiencing what is in your environment. So
yeah, I like to move my body. I like to stretch. Be outside, put your feet in the grass. You know, you know what serves your heart. And you know, it can come down to just like romancing yourself. I like to say it that way. Romance yourself. If you were taking yourself on a date, like what are the little things that would bring a smile to your face? And then some days I also just want to acknowledge this, that you may feel like, oh, I need to raise my vibration. I need to get out of this mood. And you may just decide that you don't want to, damn it. And I do that a lot. And I'm like, you know what? Today's going to be one of these days where I want to sit in the shit, and it is what it is. It doesn't always have to be changed. right? But you decide, you get to decide. That's the difference.
We always get to decide, you know? I mean, and when you say that, we all have these energies in us. It's like that teenager energy. It's a teenager energy that's just like, yeah, well, fuck that. You know what? I'm gonna eat Doritos all day and watch Netflix. So y'all can just go suck it. So I mean, we all have access to those different parts of us that are in there, right? So it's like, okay, nothing wrong with watching Netflix and eating Doritos all day if that's what you want to do.
Yep.
So, you know, and everybody's wired differently. I find that I've learned, and
I have a little kitty friend who just came up on my porch.
oh, a new one?
Yeah, it's like one of the, I think, a little neighborhood cat.
Oh, that's so sweet. Meanwhile, my cat's dead asleep over there, just like, yeah,
Oh,
it's just
Teddy.
still talking. You know what is a way that I love that raises my vibration, and it's so ridiculous, but it works every time. Hula hoop. Just get a hula hoop going. That is literally going to like create a new field around you. Literally. And if you can't feel a little bit playful while you're hula hooping, come on.
That's a great idea. Get playful. What did you like to do as a kid? I'm thinking about buying rollerblades because I just really want to rollerblade.
Oh, you can borrow mine. I'm not using them. I got some new ones. You can use mine. I wanted to go roller skating with my friend Kate a couple weeks ago. I was like, I just want to go roller skating.
Yeah.
Like, but whatever. I called a bunch of places and it was like family skate night. I'm like, no, I don't really want to skate with a bunch of kids. I just want to go skating. But yeah, and I mean, remember when we were little, we tried on different just kind of maybe we played dress up, right? We pretended, we played, and sometimes, I mean, I just like to drum. I don't know how to play the drums. I just like to drum. And when I'm drumming, you know, I'm like, boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, I feel like I'm like this Indian chief. And I mean, I start like, my mind starts getting like, imagining that. That's fun. I mean, that's fun. And we just don't do, it's like, well, why would I do that? What's the point of doing that? I mean, that's not going to get me closer. I mean, I got 100 things to do. I mean, to hula hoop and like drum. It's like, yeah, well,
Yeah, choose what's best for you. So whatever brings you joy. And that's what we're kind of all just feeling into. So we're here supporting your journey into your own joy. If you want to dance with us on Thursdays, come check out Durga Thursdays.
Yeah.
Just bring your awareness back to how does energy move in your body? How do you notice energy from other people? You know, energy is a hard thing to like put your finger on and say, this is what we mean by energy, because we can use it in so many different ways. So just something to noodle on for your week.
Something to noodle on. And you know, I got a little drop in this morning that what you make matter is what makes matter in your life. So it's the idea that all of that energy is swirling around us. And how we use our energy is what matter then shows up. What matters to me is the matter that is made, which is super interesting because that's harnessing energy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right,
friends.
All right, go get it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.